Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake. Help you create something awesome today. I'm here with Paul Sampson, the CEO of Licked. How are you doing today, Paul?
I'm good, thank you, mate. I'm not bad. Enjoying VidCon.
Yes, same here. For those in the audience who may not be familiar with your company, what do you do over at Licked?
So Licked is the world's first mainstream music licensing platform for content creators. So we work with the biggest labels and publishers and artists in the world to make their music available to content creators for YouTube and other platforms, free from copyright claims at affordable prices. Our mission is to democratize all the world's music for all the world's creators.
I love it. That is a fantastic mission.
Yeah.
And so that would mean that creators could use the music they hear on the Spotify or on the radio. So if they wanted to like have a little piece of Eminem song in the music because, in the background there because they have a little joke that makes sense, or if they wanted to play could they play even like a full version of a song in the background of their video?
They could play the full song, yeah. If what they can't do is make a video about the song and then monetize it, but you can monetize all your videos if you've licensed the song from Licked. So, for instance, if you made a lyric video, that's label revenue, right? You can't stream a song on YouTube and expect to keep the artist's revenue,
right?
But if it's just a part of your video, no problem. You can generate a license on Licked, and then we've built proprietary software that every label and every distributor that signs with Licked has to integrate into their YouTube CMS.
Yes.
And what that does, we call it Vouch because it vouches for our customers, right? So Vouch forces ContentID into a decision-making process rather than its current state, which is presumption of guilt at all times.
Right.
Right.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Correct.
Yeah.
When they built ContentID, there was nowhere in the world to get the rights. So every time they heard a song, they knew it was an infringement. I know you infringed because I didn't license it to you. Right. And so what we've said is if we're going to build like Spotify for content creators, it's pointless giving people the rights and the contract and the license if you don't then follow up and protect them from the automation of the persecution of ContentID.
And they shouldn't have to do any extra work for that or provide evidence of their innocence and everything. So that's what you guys solve for, is a seamless integration for you to be able to have that opportunity.
Yes. Look, there's a full transparency because I always try to do that. There's like 1% of the catalog where there's a manual process to get a claim cleared, right? It's one rights holder that won't work with software. Okay. Because the music industry is slightly backwards if we're all honest with each other.
Can you name them?
I mean, I could. It won't help me with my negotiations with them, so I'll leave them out for now.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's said when you license songs from them, it says this is what you do. You just notify us just ahead of the upload, and then we put them on alert and they clear the claim.
Okay.
So it's still claims free. It's just claims managed rather than seamless.
See.
There's 1.5 million songs live and available on Licked. For context, that's 35 times larger than Epidemic, 60 to 100 times larger than Soundstripe, and all they've got is stock music,
and probably significantly even more than the YouTube audio library now.
It's 3 times larger than the YouTube audio library.
Wow.
And the YouTube audio library creating music doesn't have a single major label or a single major publisher, and we have those labels and publishers.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
With great difficulty.
Okay.
So look, I've been putting music to picture for 20 years, right? I was telling you before we started recording, I put music in films, in trailers, in TV shows. And just like you today, because I used to work in television, right?
Yes.
And today I watched you put up 2 cameras that you own.
Yes.
And essentially create a mini TV show, right? That setup is democratized to the home creator.
Yes, exactly.
You're going to go and edit it on your laptop. We used to have to go into edit suites and hire £700 an hour editors and £1,000 a day edit suites.
Yes.
Now you've got it on Final Cut or Adobe Premiere or whatever it is you're using. And the only thing that didn't democratize in line was what I was doing.
Yes.
Right? And I thought, well, that's nonsense. This is the fastest growing production sector in the world. Why would we treat them like second-class citizens?
Makes sense to me.
Right? Every other production sector, all those ones I listed, advertising, film, trailers, TV, they can license whatever they want. Whatever they want. The only people precluded from working with the artists they love are creators.
Yeah, the independent creator is, like you said, it's treated like a second-class citizen in media.
Absolutely. And they're looked down upon. And I thought, that's got to change. And the music industry is sitting there going, how do we grow faster? right? And you've got commercial
It's right
teams.
there.
It's right there. And you've got commercial teams going, this artist has got 2 million really engaged fans. Whatever they do, these fans always engage, right? Whether it's merch or tickets or like bespoke content.
Yes.
How do we get £40 a year more out of each of them, right? Well, how about stop persecuting them for celebrating your artist on YouTube, right?
That would make a difference.
Now, it's really difficult. When the first thing we had to do was create the software and then take that to the music industry and go, look, this is what I'm proposing, that we enable pre-cleared licensing. Pre-cleared means label and publisher both agree that you can use it without asking them.
Now, how does that differ from the Content ID system that YouTube currently implements?
Pre-cleared just means the label, the artist, and the publisher have given you, the creator, the right, the permission to license anything from Licked without asking for their consent against the content, right?
Yes.
It's a one-stop shop.
So it's basically whitelisting.
Well, kind of. No, Vouch isn't whitelisting. No, Vouch reviews every use of a song on YouTube. It's making millions of decisions a day.
Wow.
So when a label integrates Vouch into their YouTube CMS, what Vouch does is enables them to put a bespoke policy on the song. Without Vouch, the only policies you can use are monetize, track, takedown, and block. All persecutory.
Yes.
Right?
So nothing collaborative.
So nothing collaborative. What Vouch
That's
does
interesting.
is it says now you can click a fifth option, which is the Vouch policy.
Yes.
And that puts it in a review state.
Yes.
Right? And so every time, let's say we've got Physical by Dua Lipa, right? Every time anywhere in the world that Physical by Dua Lipa is uploaded within a video on YouTube, Vouch reviews the usage. And it says, that's not a Licked customer, claim it. That's not a Licked customer, claim it. That's not a Licked customer, claim it. That's a Licked customer. They paid for that. Leave them alone.
Got it.
So in order for the software to work, it has to review the 1.5 million songs that are appearing in the billions of videos that are being uploaded every day. I mean, it's a piece of work, man.
I understand. That's like significant.
Yeah. So like I said, Vouch is, if it just reviewed one video on one song every day, it would be making 1.5 million decisions. It's doing that on multiple videos. So anyway, then we have to go to the labels and we have to convince them of it. They were very worried about, well, we earn money off YouTube already. Is this going to diminish those returns? Right?
Yes.
And I had to spend years creating the business case saying, you're monetizing people at the very bottom of YouTube, right? When I say bottom, I don't mean that pejoratively. I just
the people aggregating the less views, the least amount of views.
The long tail, right?
Yes.
1 billion videos with 100 views.
Yes.
You're only a penny from each of them, right? So what I'm telling you is 84% of videos on YouTube use music. It's just not yours, right? And there's now 10 million channels on YouTube with over 1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
Those 10 million channels make 5 videos a month. 12 months a year. So you're already at now 600 million videos, right?
Yeah, so that's a lot of scale.
84% of them use music, but they won't use your music because you're going to steal their salary. So if we could create a licensing structure for them and work collaboratively,
this is a new customer base. That's this is a new revenue stream.
Absolutely. But when it comes to adopting innovation, the music industry's only ever been slightly ahead of the Amish, right? They resisted radio. They resisted CDs. They resisted streaming, downloads,
They resisted
MP3s.
MTV.
Yes, correct. Do you know this is crazy, right? In the 50s, I think it was, there was something, the music industry imposed a policy on radio called needle time. So in that decade, and up until that point, you could only hear 30 seconds of a song on the radio. They were prohibited from playing any more than 30 seconds because, well, if we play the whole song, no one's going to go and buy it. Why would you buy the cow if we're giving the milk away for free?
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
And then in the late 50s or early 60s, some bright spark in marketing went, let's see what happens if we let them play the whole song. And of course, sales went through the roof.
Moon, yes.
And radio promo as we know it today was born, right?
Well, we've seen something similar with creators in short form, particularly in Instagram and TikTok. Though TikTok's having its issues in the US now, we've seen that it's been able, at least up until the pandemic, to create homegrown talents that became Billboard topping stars.
Absolutely. I mean, TikTok's become so central to the music industry. Actually, I think marketing departments in the music industry have got too reliant on it.
I would agree with that.
A bit too lazy.
I would agree with that.
But social platforms in general, I mean, like, there's at any given point, new releases are less than 1% of all global catalog, right?
Yes.
So it's much more important for labels, and it's really important for them to keep adding new hits. But they've always got a back catalog of 80 million songs that they would like to keep generating revenue from.
Yes. Why not take advantage of an asset that already exists? Same thing for content creators.
And then we see now, the reason things are starting to pick up is because we are seeing data with them, because some of the labels really like us and will share data, where, hang on, that song that has been pretty dormant for 5 years has just been used in this creator's video. They paid X amount to use it. Can you tell us what's happened on the streaming of that song in the last week since the date of the video? And the graph always comes back like this.
So it's always, it's going up.
So you got a license fee, and now we just regenerated catalog and added a bit of incremental streaming revenue on back catalog that wasn't doing much.
So we got free printing, free money in terms of residuals with that, and being paid for the privilege.
This is a win, 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 win.
No one seems to be able to lose. So why is it that the music industry in general and the entertainment and film industry in general struggles so much with understanding and seeing the benefits of fair use and fair dealing? Talk to me a bit about fair use and the conflict there.
Well, so just to be clear, fair use is different to a licensed use from us, right? Fair use.
Correct. I understand.
Yeah, fair use is like parody or newsworthy ephemeral content.
But even reactions and so on and so forth. But the thing is, there's still a struggle with copyright holders and IP holders to feel like they're not seeing theft of their IP versus this resurgence of interest in their IP and scaling it to people who wouldn't have interacted with it otherwise.
Yeah.
Because the value is it's that the creator and the IP are getting more attention than either would get on their own. Yeah. So why is there a struggle to see the value of that?
I think there are still some legacy stakeholders in the music industry. The music industry, for all of its life, has had one MO: monetize scarcity. Right? Your viewers.
So they struggle with scale abundance now, an economy of scale.
Everything I'm asking them to do is democratize and liberate. And they go, no. We are used to saying no and demanding the highest price possible,
so it's ideological,
as few times as possible.
So it's ideological for them because their entire thing was predicated in a world where scarcity mattered because there was no such thing as an economy of scale.
Correct.
Or at least not an accessible way to reach economy of scale.
Yeah.
And now we live in a digital democratized world where economy of scale is real. We see this with AI. We see this with everything. It's a foregone conclusion if you're in the modern world.
Yes.
But they were built before that, so it's all they've ever known.
Like going back to the Amish point, right? Like other industries have already jumped on this bandwagon.
Interesting.
I'm saying to them, there are even things like artist contracts have in them a sync clause that gives the artist the right to approve every use of their music against picture. Now, that was written so that the artist could deny the label wanting to put their song in a Nike advert if they didn't like Nike.
Yes.
Right? If they had an Adidas deal.
Yes.
Or they were vegan, right?
Yes.
It wasn't there.
That makes sense.
It never foresaw the proliferation of online video content and the democratization of production in the way that exists today.
Because the cost to entry was too prohibitive to ever think that the average person would ever have the means. And there was no model of distribution for it because no one had broadcast capabilities.
Right. So I'm going into meetings and I'm telling them, this is your future. This is another revenue stream. You want to keep bitching on panels about how we're going to grow and we're not back to 1999 revenues yet, right? Well, here's an open goal for you. Right, let's work together and do it.
Right.
And they just get very, very nervous about it. Well, we can't, Paul, because there's this clause and it's in every artist's contract, and you're asking me to go and remove it from all of them, right? And I said, are you telling me that's the last contract anyone's ever going to draft?
Contracts aren't going to ever renew. Put a new clause at every renewal and be done with it.
Yes, correct.
Bloody hell.
Correct. And that's how we've had to work. And that's why I don't have 80 million songs on day one, which is what Spotify has.
Right.
But I've got shit ton more music than any player in the game. And by the way, I mentioned to you earlier, we also offer stock music.
Yes.
Under subscription.
Yes.
Right? Because all the other companies are just stock music. We have that as well. I used to work in stock music. It provides a really good resource for creators.
Yes.
Like I said to you, if you want a scene in your video to sound like Pirates of the Caribbean, you're going to need to be able to search for adventure or fantasy or action.
Yes.
Right? That you're not going to get that from Ed Sheeran.
Correct.
Right? So you need that kind of stock music. It's like a toolkit.
Yes, I need to be able to source for just mood, tone,
absolutely,
something of that nature.
Which stock music does, and that's what all the other companies do. What they don't do is go, by the way, here's another 1.5 million famous songs from your favorite artist.
Yeah, right. That way, if I could just use a single line in a song as a throwaway on a joke that I need to do or something.
Correct. And the first time Mr. Beast used Licked, it was a 23-minute video. Mm-hmm. And right at the very end, as is the case in most of his videos, there was a cash giveaway because the person won the challenge.
Yes.
And he used Cash Machine by Oliver Tree as the outro to the video because it made sense to what was happening on screen.
Yes. Good storytelling there. Yeah.
Good storytelling, music assisting. Like, if you care about your production values, if you care about elevating your content, like good producers do, then you should have access to as much good quality ancillary content as you can. And that's what Lick's trying to do.
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, there are things where if I was going to do something and if I wanted to do a motivational video, for example, for creators, just even using the backtrack to lose yourself would set the right tone for the seriousness of that. Or if I was doing something about going on stage and public speaking, lose yourself is the right thing to be able to put in that just for even a few seconds to go into it to set it up. It makes a difference in being invested in whatever the rest of the narrative is going forward because there's just something about that. And it is some of the best
music.
It's
subtext there, isn't it? Yeah. It is. And I can't remember which director said it. Oh, Guy Ritchie said half of a movie is the music.
It is.
Right? And I think that's true in all content, right? People undervalue the role music can play in your content.
Well, I'm a big Miyazaki fan, and everyone knows and understands that Miyazaki's films, that really half of it is the feeling you get from the thing. There's like, if you just start playing the violins from Mononoke, there are people who are just going to nostalgically start tearing up, remembering the most heartbreaking scenes of it from the film. The same thing for Spirited Away. My sisters are big fans of Spirited Away. There's things like that. So it does play a role, and being able to use music to even play and reinforce on certain emotions, nostalgia and such, that makes a big role. You were giving me some data earlier about how it affects retention. Yeah,
so we just started analyzing a lot of the data that we sit on, and we looked at our customers' engagement rates on their content.
Yes.
For the lifetime of their channel. And because they are customers, a portion of that includes them being with us.
Yes.
And since they've started using mainstream music, across comments, likes, watch time, and views, the average uplift across all four is 22%. So there was actually a business case for using better music.
Interesting.
A famous song will get you more comments if it hits the right feels with the right people.
22% is a lot. Yeah,
it is. So on comments, it's typically like 50%. It's some of the others that might drag that aggregate number down.
And people don't understand that there's a significant value there beyond the algorithm. Is that your rate for sponsorships does increase dramatically proportionately to engagement rate rather than just view rate.
Yes.
And a lot of people do not understand that that's a factor in the negotiations. A lot of creators are naive about that, but I've seen the internal tools that agencies and brands use in working with creators and how some of you in their management and talent teams do things. And everyone thinks about the views, the subscribers, the follower counts. They don't ever really consider the engagement rate. And the thing is, a lot of times people don't understand my sponsorship brand deal pricing is that I outperform in education when it comes to engagement rate. And one of the things I did was things like I use engagement triggers, like asking a question in the early part of the video and triggering more comments. I get more comments than people with 3 million subscribers sometimes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you've treated it like the profession that it should be, right?
Right. And the respect. Exactly.
I mean, one thing I wanted to say is, like, I mentioned to you that we're on this mission, right?
Yes.
Maybe it's just a personal mission. I don't think it should be. I don't know why I'm so passionate about making sure every song should be made available. I just think it should. I think it doesn't make any sense for it not to happen, right? But I will say this. Without the backing of the creator community, it won't.
That's true.
We are the only people in the world doing this. We are the only people being given the rights and that built the technology that can enable it. The music industry won't license a third party until we prove the model. If this doesn't work, if creators don't get behind it, then if it falls away, that's it.
Yeah.
They won't come back with another version.
I see it because the mainstream doesn't, without that, have any real compelling reason to do something differently other than what they've been doing.
And the only alternative currently is creator music on YouTube, which is fine. It's not great offering, but it's rev share.
Yes.
Now, I can tell you,
and with Licked, you guys are...
You pay an upfront fee.
It's just upfronts.
Yeah. So
there's not a version of it that's rev share. It's all upfronts.
There's no version of it that's rev share.
Okay.
It starts at $8. It scales based on the channel size, essentially. The revenue share that Creator Music asks starts at 30% and goes up to 80% based on the label or the artist.
And Creator Music, is that owned by Universal? Or?
No, it's YouTube.
It's YouTube. Okay. Oh, you're talking about YouTube's Creator Music. Yes.
Mainstream audio library. Like I said, they don't have the major labels. They don't have the major publishers. They won't for a while. I won't get into why that's a difficult thing to do because it's taken me 7 years to get this where it is.
How did TikTok accomplish that where YouTube was not able
let me just finish that point and I'll come on to it. You don't want to be left in a world where the only option you got is rev share because the music industry will always overprice.
Yes.
And our data tells us that the average customer is using a mainstream song in a video for 7% of the video.
Okay,
right?
yeah, 30% is too much of an ask for that.
So now take that 7%, music and visuals. If you attribute equally at 50-50, which I would argue is probably a bit too favorable to the music, right?
Yes.
Right? Then even that's 3.5%.
Yeah.
Right? So asking for 30 is mental.
Yes, because that's like
the low
8x.
end.
Yeah, because that's 8x on the low end.
Exactly.
Going to be over 10x on the average.
It's not okay.
That's wild.
The music industry, and God bless them. I have to work with them.
Yes.
And there are some really good people that are doing some really good things and helping me innovate, that want to innovate, right?
Yes.
But they are slow moving beasts. But they insist on the tail wagging the dog. You want my music in a thing, it's going to cost this. Well, that makes it unviable as a business. I don't care. That's your problem. Right?
So they're abusing the leverage.
Correct.
Because there's not an alternative.
Correct. And if that is the only game in town, forget it. You may as well be back getting claimed. It will go up to 90% and 95%, right? And then you'll be back using stock. I call it stock music Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
Right? Because creators have been forced to use stock music exclusively for so long that they go, well, my captor, I am captive to them, but they have treated me okay.
Yeah, aren't they benevolent? They're a benevolent dictator.
My kidnapper gave me 3 meals a day. He didn't leave me to rot. And that works quite well, Stockholm Syndrome, because A, there's stock in it, and B, epidemics from Stockholm. But listen, the Epidemic and those companies did a great job. They did a great job.
I've had a great relationship with them. I use it all the time. But I am looking more toward, especially with the data that I've seen and what I've seen from the creators and what I've been talking about with you, I'm convinced that there is, and what we've seen even from creators in other short form platforms and Instagram and TikTok, this licensed music model is the future. I'm convinced of it.
Yes. And look, you asked about the TikTok thing, how have they gone about doing it, how have they got those deals done when YouTube can't. There's a difference. You're not earning from your TikTok videos.
Not significally anyway.
Well, I mean, most revenue on those platforms is done off platform with brand deals, right?
Absolutely.
So where there is a commercial gain by the publisher of the video directly attributable to the views, the adverts placed against that video, that really only exists on YouTube. Right. There's a video every 6th video on TikTok or Instagram, right?
Yes.
It's not necessarily attributed to your video.
I see. So the lack of attribution to an individual video in terms of the revenue.
Yes, you don't earn AdSense
versus
on TikTok,
the pool,
right?
Yeah, versus the pool. No, they do some kind of creator program that's a rev share pool of everything in a viewing session.
Exactly.
So it's not attributable to an individual video. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Now think about this. You said, how come TikTok get it done when YouTube can't? That's not true. YouTube has done it. It's called Content ID and it's called copyright claims. The only difference is, and it's happening on TikTok, but you weren't ever eligible to earn that money.
Aha.
That's why you don't notice it. All that is that TikTok's done is these people are going to go and use your music one way or another. We can agree a license and I'll pay you, but they're never going to earn money from it. It's never going to be a commercial endeavor for them. Therefore, they don't need a sync license for it.
Why did YouTube never solve the problem the way that you did with Vouch? Why was Vouch never even a consideration in the development of the Content ID system that came from Viacom v Google v YouTube?
I don't know. Like honestly, people at YouTube go, well, "How does it work and what does it do?" And they go, "Oh shit, okay." But like, I'll tell you this: when I first walked in to the YouTube offices in 2017 with a deck and a demo of Vouch.
This is 3 years after the Viacom litigation was settled and Content ID was normalized.
Yes. They laughed me out of the room. He said, and I don't blame them. He said, sorry, you're going to go and get all the world's distributors to integrate your software on their YouTube CMS and then deliver you all the music. They were, good luck. And they kind of went, that's never going to happen, right?
Wow.
And no one thought what we've done was going to happen, if I'm honest. My seed investor said, I'll give you the money on one condition. You stop messing around with these major labels. It will never happen. And now 2 of them are on my cap table. So it's insane what we've done.
Yes. It really is.
They
That's
thought
wild.
There's no way that
they would come to the table.
It's too difficult to get, you need thousands of companies to integrate your software and those CMSs and the software to be working across all of them.
Software adoptions.
If you imagine how Epidemic works, right? Mm-hmm. You sign up for a subscription. They own all that music. They are the only entity Epidemic has to deal with is Epidemic.
Yeah, it's simple.
Right. So you sign up. Okay, let's just whitelist Roberto's channel. Mm-hmm. And he's not going to get a claim from us. When he cancels his subscription, going forwards, he'll get a claim if he uses our music, right? I have to do that with 10,000 rights holders.
Okay, so it's the logistics. It's the
logistics. I built software that has to be integrated with all the parties that are delivering us music.
Compatible with the systems they already have in place because they don't want to adapt their systems, change their code base, anything. Correct. So you have to be the one that makes your thing able to work universally.
Exactly right. Our software has to spider out from our CMS to the CMS of every music rights holder and help co-manage the review of claims. That's what we're purporting to do for them.
Wow, that's impressive.
So it's a behemoth. And I said to the first developer we ever hired, like before I even started the company, we looked at it. I said, I bet you we can forge a path with software through the API, through the CMS, and into Content ID. And I think no one's bothered because there hasn't been a use case for it. But if we're thinking about this, if we're thinking about building a platform that houses the world's music with the rights for creators to use it, it has to sit on something magic like that. And we took all the certifications. We looked at it for days after we'd done the exams. And one day he went to me, well, this works, but they would have to all integrate this software into the YouTube CMS. And we were like, oh, shit. That's a big ask, right?
Right.
But we pitched it well enough, and slowly people started to do it.
No, it makes total sense. Is there any reason why YouTube wouldn't acquire you now, considering that as an asset, you would be invaluable, integrated directly into the platform at this point?
I mean, well, now they've started with creator music, right? Mm-hmm. With their own offering. I won't say too much about it. I don't think it's been the success they had hoped for. I think they're finding it a lot more difficult to do the deals than they thought it might be.
That's my question. Why not just buy you?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you this. Someone from YouTube spoke to me 4 years ago and said, where are you as a business? And we were pre-revenue. We weren't making any money. We weren't licensing lots of music. I didn't have the hits, which we have now. So you go on Lick today.
Oh, yeah.
Coldplay, Dua Lipa, Bruno Mars,
Eminem,
Lizzo. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Sabrina Carpenter's 2 current viral songs are on Licked, right? In real time. That wasn't the case then. I think if we were then where we are today, they wouldn't have gone ahead with creative music, possibly. They may have then. I think that conversation was, are you worth buying now? Right? And I think that ship may have sailed. I don't know. But it depends what happens with that. Listen, I don't believe in rev share. I don't think it's viable. I think it's unfair on creators.
I think that just paying outright for the service you want to get is much better than giving up a 30% or higher, essentially, equity in your own IP that you worked hard on for something that utilizes maybe less than 10% of contributes 10% to the outcome. I just don't think it's reasonable. I think as it is in general, that as much as rev share is a really great entry point for creators to make some revenue because they're afraid to sell to their audience for whatever reason, I understand. And I'm glad that we have ad revenue rev sharing at least. I'm glad, but I think rev sharing for everything is just a misnomer. And I would just prefer to just pay for services outright. That's why I'm partnered with Kajabi, for example. I could do any number of membership things and give up 10 or 30% or 50%. I'd rather just pay outright and host my own membership site.
Understood. And look, here's where I think it could work. This is what I could be wrong, but if I had a crystal ball, here's what I would see, and I'll be telling you.
Okay.
I think creative music is going to end up being really good for shorts, right?
Yes.
It's ephemeral throwaway content, and if it's 60 seconds or less, and I want the song in it, the video is probably about the song. The song is probably integral to it, right? Now,
and it gets the music industry to play ball, because
And if I'm not currently earning from shorts, then giving me 20% of what the music industry would have got, it works. Sure. I can make 10 of these a day. I'm not setting up cameras. I'm just shooting on my phone, right?
Right. Scales.
I think they might end up enabling people that create, and the music industry calls it song UGC. Yes. Things like lyric videos, art tracks, choreography, where the video is about the song. Where the video is about the song, right?
Yes.
Then those people aren't currently earning anything.
Yes.
Now, if you said to them, okay, you can use creative music if it's song UGC, if your video is about the song, and we'll give you 20% of the revenue, but the song is the star, as opposed to fully claiming you, I think they would add nutrition to the soil of that. They would make that scene more fertile.
Yes.
I think they'd see growth in that field. But for background music, in mid to long form content, which is what our customers, that's what I see. People are making 5 to 25 minute videos.
Yes.
And potentially using, 5 minutes of music across the whole thing. You can't ask people for 30 to 80% of their revenue for that.
No, you absolutely can't. Well, what about reaction channels that do reactions and music reviews? I have a client, Anwar, with Mugen Reacts. He likes to do reviews of actual songs that people would know from Spotify or the radio or what have you. What is the best option for him in terms of moving forward? Is it to try to get a license for those songs from Licked when he wants to do a music review? Or is it creator music?
I believe so. Well, I don't think he's going to find the music he wants in creator music.
Right.
He may not even find it on Licked if we're all on, if he wants the latest song that's come out.
It won't always be the latest. No, he actually does cover a lot of things that have been out for a while or what have you. I would argue that he should use Licked, right? I'll tell you, again, transparently, the music industry would call me and go, we think that's song UGC, and I would have to fight them on it, right? Now, he would have had his claim cleared already. But I wouldn't be surprised if they called me and said, well, this considers, and I would go to them and say, look, this is what we defined between us as song UGC, right? And I can tell you, so Vouch looks for attributes of a video and reports back on policing and tells me this video has the 3 red flags that might make it song UGC, and a creator has licensed the song into it. Right? Okay, so what would those 3 for?
So when we see all 3 of these on one video, and it was licensed by Licked, we are alerted. Artist name and track title in the video title. Video length and song length are within 90% of each other.
Okay.
And more than 90% of the song in the video.
Okay.
So
His wouldn't hit the song length thing at all. His videos would be more than 3 to 5 times the length of the song.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I would go back to them and go, it doesn't match the definition. And actually, what they're scared of is what YouTube, the music industry used to hate YouTube. They used to hate them. And the reason they used to hate them.
So did television and film. Viacom tried to literally bury them. Yes.
But the reason they used to hate them is because they were backdoor music streaming. People were not paying for Spotify and not paying for Apple Music because I could just go and look up the music video, right? Or the lyric video on YouTube and use that as a free streaming service. Okay, it doesn't autoplay, but I could just keep typing in the songs I want, right? And I would say to them, that's what they're concerned about with Song UGC. And I would say to them, no one in their right mind that wants to hear that song is watching this video to do it.
Yeah,
because he stops it every 20 seconds.
No one's going through that level of effort. No,
exactly.
And then there's the ads part of it, interrupting this.
Yes.
Can you actually tell me some more inside baseball on your thoughts around even YouTube Music? Because YouTube Music is very interesting to me. And how are artists and musicians earning from YouTube Music as opposed to regular YouTube?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned that they had a problem, the music industry had a problem with YouTube. The problem was commonly referred to as the value gap. That was, if you went to music industry conferences between 2015 and 2020, that was the only words you heard. Fucking YouTube and the fucking value gap, right?
Okay.
And the value gap is this. People are streaming music on regular YouTube, right? And the claiming revenue on YouTube is significantly lower than what the music streaming platforms are obliged to pay us per stream, right? Under a streaming contract. So YouTube,
even if you claim it, you're getting a pittance anyway.
Compared to the streaming revenue. And you know how they feel about streaming revenue, right?
Yes,
they think that's too low already.
Yes.
So take that down another 90%. And so when they renewed deals with YouTube about the claiming revenue, they insisted that YouTube create a music streaming platform and then drive people into music streaming. And that's why YouTube Music came about.
I see.
It was to placate the music industry and be collaborative with them and say, okay, we are going to start a streaming platform. It will include video because that has to be our USP, right? As a video first platform.
Yes.
And we will charge subscription rates and we will pay out as per what the music industry defines as a subscription license agreement with you.
Seems to have worked out since there's now 100 million users globally for YouTube Music, which I believe now puts them right on the heels of Spotify. Spotify has how many, I think?
Oh, no, Spotify is still the number one by some distance.
About 140 million?
I think it's more. I don't know the number. I think it's quite a lot more. But and then there's Apple and YouTube and Amazon, I think, in that order. I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Sure.
But now
I'll look up the numbers later.
Yes. Now they're looking at YouTube and going, well, I'm getting 2 big checks from you now.
Yes.
Suddenly you're not the bad guy.
Because in aggregate, that's better than just Spotify because now it's both.
Absolutely.
And so that's interesting.
Which is why Spotify's starting to do video.
Yes.
So we sit in this sort of nexus of all of them, right? And it's just really exciting and really interesting times. I love what I do. I want creators to understand they can, in a very real and very visceral way, be part of the change they want to see in their community. Every time I send a check to the music industry, they release more music. Shit, it's working. This check's bigger than it was last month, right? Let's stop giving him such a hard time.
So where's this resistance still with all the proof and all the data and everything that you've shown is working? What's the resistance still remaining? Where are the holdouts coming from? The holdouts, what is their argument at this point? Because it seems to me the writing's on the wall. You have the data, you have the money, the checks, everything's coming in, everything's coming up roses. You've aligned to the future of the market and the future of consumption instead of alienating consumers, instead of attacking consumers for the way that they want to consume. You've aligned yourself to the consumer. You've aligned yourself to the creator. What's the holdout for the copyright holders now?
A big label that is yet to sign with us says, I think YouTube's model of claiming revenue doesn't pay enough, and your model, Paul, pays me less than that, right? Now, I'm saying to them, yes, but you're not touching this market at all.
So it'd be something, you're complaining about not getting money that they aren't, is the argument that
the money I'm not getting that you're aiming to get for me isn't as much as I'd like it to be.
So I'm already going to make $0 and something is not better than nothing for me.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
But this is what happens, right? When you get these deal makers, like I said, their method, their MO has been saying no, right?
Yes.
So that you can always drive the price up.
Because of leveraging scarcity.
Exactly. So what they really want, that deal maker there who wants to make his name within that label, right, is going to say, I'm going to pay the hard bastard that just keeps saying no until a company that can pay me 9 figures just comes and advances it to me. Not going to go through the pain of working with Paul and testing, right? And so you're left with, I mean, we have 1.5 million songs on Licked.
Yes.
There are 9.5 million songs delivered to us on top of that I can't get on the platform yet. That means I've signed the labels, but I'm missing 1% or maybe up to 100% of the other side of the rights that I need, the publisher.
Yes.
Every time I sign a publisher, we cross-reference that publishing ownership across the 9.5 million songs, and it unlocks another 20,000, 100,000 songs, right?
Yes.
And they go in and makes 1.5, 1.6.
Scales.
9.5 becomes 9.4, right?
Right.
But we're on a constant mission to keep signing rights holders, so we can get as much of that live as possible.
And how much is the licensing for an individual song generally?
On Licked, the average price point for our customers is £10. So $12.
Right.
It starts at $8. It goes all the way up to $330, and we are going to bring up new pricing for the really big creators.
Yes,
right?
yes, for like the Mr. Beast of the world.
I won't say what he's paying, but he has a bespoke rate, right?
I see.
And then now's the time to say, well, hang on, there's something between $330.
Could you hint at the amount of the figures in that bespoke rate?
It's
6, 7.
No, it's not 6 or 7. It's not that high.
Okay.
It's not that high. It's
significant.
It's significant. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's a really good deal for creators. The way I worked out the modeling when I first came up with it was, let's work out what the CPM is, right? What the RPM is actually, the creator share.
Take home revenue.
And then I counted, this is 2016, I counted for 20% going to
an artist,
an MCN. Remember them?
Oh, yes. Oh, Lord.
So I took 20% off that, right?
Yes.
And then I said, there might be an agent fee. I'll take 10% off the RPM. And now of that, what does 10% look like? Right? And so that's what our pricing in each price band looks like.
I see.
It works out about 8% of what we estimate you might earn.
Which is about in alignment with what you said about like what you feel the most realistic version of the contribution of the video to the content actually ends up representing.
Exactly. And you
so you're looking for parity.
It might go up to 50% of your video, right? But it depends how much music you want to use.
But you were looking for parity. So
correct.
Okay.
Correct. Whereas they would much rather hold out and not earn anything in the music industry for the next 20 years, but one day get a check for $100 million.
So they were playing winner take all or winner take most.
Exactly.
I see.
And what we have to do, and that's why I say, like, I've been fighting this fight for 7 years. I can't tell you the arguments I've had in boardrooms with music execs on behalf of creators like you and everyone watching this video. Now I need them with me.
Yes.
Because we're just getting to a tipping point, right? I've just proven now what I set out to do 8 years ago was, if I get the biggest artists in the world, the biggest creators in the world will license it. And now the smallest creators in the world can license it.
Yeah, right? and now they're actually feeling encouraged to do so.
Every time someone licensed from Licked, it's like adding your name to a signature of defiance to the music industry.
I love this idea. Right? I love this rebellion. Like this makes sense.
We're a challenger brand, but like the people we're challenging didn't even bother to do what we're trying to do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Could you talk to me about how the copyright and content ID system as it currently exists is sometimes weaponized and how false claims work?
Yes. Content ID does miss some stuff, which for creators is quite handy, right? For rights holders, it represents some missed opportunities. There are, as a result, essentially that's the definition of a gap in the market. And wherever that happens, a startup pops up.
There's an opportunity.
And so someone comes up with some software that will trawl Content ID and work out what it's missed and then claim it. right? And they'll go up to people like Warner Chappell Publishing or Sony Publishing and say, we think Content ID is missing 20% more revenue than you should be getting, and we can put systems in place to go and get it. And sometimes systems like that misclaim. They would rather claim the revenue and make a mistake and get a slap on the wrist
than miss the opportunity.
Then miss another, because that's what they're claiming to solve, right?
Yes.
So that is a small part of the problem.
So there's an incentive problem. There's a misaligned incentive to where the incentive isn't to operate fairly. The incentive is to maximize revenue.
Correct. And then the other problem is the music industry is so fragmented, Roberto. I cannot tell you. Like, for instance, there's a hip hop song delivered to Licked, one label, 17 publishers.
Wow.
And they're all multinational companies. So for me to get that one song live and available to you as a creator, I have to have been in 4, 5, 10 meetings in different countries.
With all the parties
with
involved.
All 17 of those companies who want their own contracts. Now, obviously, I'm not doing that for one song. When I do it, I'm saying, and anything else that you represent, right?
Yes.
But
so catalogs, yes.
It's really hard work. Anyway, of that song, that label might only own it in North America and the UK. There might be a remix of the song where another label owns it in Germany or in Asia. Mm-hmm. There might be another remix where someone owns it in Australia. If they sound alike because it's a remix, but the core song and sounds are there, and it's owned by different Content ID administrators, someone might not claim it, but the other person might. If I clear the claim from the label that gave me the music, the official claim,
yes,
that doesn't mean that Content ID might not think it's the remix from Australia,
right?
Because it's 80% match, right? And so we occasionally suffer from that, where someone will go, "You said there wasn't going to be a claim. There's a claim." Well, it's not my fault. I cleared the claim that you got, but stay calm. It's illegal. We'll deal with it for you. Right. We'll reach out to them and say, "Get your hands off this person's money," right? Nice. And we always do that, and it always works. So that's what's happening. Sometimes you get bad actors, very rarely, but they just go, they'll scrape all of Content ID and go, that they haven't put a policy on that song
guilty
yet.
Until proven innocent.
Exactly.
Yes. How much money a year does the music industry make from content claims through the Content ID system?
So essentially, what's the check size from YouTube to the music industry for video?
Yes.
I don't know. They don't because obviously they're all individual checks.
But in aggregate,
it's 9 figures per major label.
9 figures
per major label.
Per major label. Yeah. Does
so
that? So that's $1 billion.
Well,
that's in the billions.
I think
9
each
is
of the
in the
major
billions?
labels is getting a minimum of 100 million a year.
100.
And then there's publishers, and then you got all the indies underneath that.
I see.
Somewhere up to about $1 billion a year, I would guess. Like I said, I'm not.
Probably theoretically minimum per major label, and then there's all the other
the publishers and then the smaller ones,
the small fries. So then they're getting like their nice little 8 figures here or there. Okay, I see. No, that's significant. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's wild to think about just how much money there is in this. Yeah. I heard an industry rumor from multiple people. I don't know if you're able to substantiate this in any way, but I'll ask anyway.
Yeah.
David Dobrik, at the peak of his fame and his celebrity, I heard that he lost maybe 8 to 10 million over the lifetime of his YouTube career. Through music claims, because he just refused to go through the bother of licensing.
Yeah, and he also refused to lower the value of the production value of his content.
Correct.
There was integrity there.
Yes, right? But he could have just also licensed.
But like that, it's a definition of integrity. I gave up £10 million to make the content as good as I could for you.
Yes.
Right?
But so you've heard that as well, or you're familiar with...
that's out of order.
Yeah, right? But you're familiar with that, and that happened.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so that happened.
That's also part of my problem.
Yeah.
They'll go, well, people are using our music and we do earn from it. So I don't want to give it to you because then I won't get 10 million from David Dobrik. And I go, there's 10 million David Dobricks, right? And what you want, I promise you, what you want is £10 a month of each of them.
Yeah.
Right? That's the way to do it.
True.
But again, that's scale.
Yes.
That's liberation of assets, liberation of, it's not monetizing scarcity, it's the opposite.
Yes.
And that's difficult.
Yeah.
So they always say to me, you're going to cannibalize our revenue on YouTube. right?
I feel like it's the opposite.
It is the opposite. Where we've made progress recently is I've been able to go to them and analyze their data, right? And go, okay, here's the definition of the market I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that are earning money. Having said that, 80% of our customer base is not yet earning, but they are ambitious enough to know that one day they will. And they want their back catalogue musically hygienic and available to earn for them, which is smart. You should be telling people that, right? One day you might enter the partner program, and if all your shit isn't clean, you can only earn money going forwards when you should be monetizing your
back catalog. I know I do tell people that all the time. It's also why I tell them, hey, stop worrying about the short attention spans when you're trying to get up to monetization. Make videos that are longer so that when you do get the ability, you can go back retroactively and put in a bunch of ad breaks and you can make money. It's substantial.
So
very good advice.
We went to one of the major labels and we said, well, how about you give us your data from your YouTube CMS, right? Let's agree some definitions, okay? We're going to see which channels are paying out on music claims to you, and we'll define what they are. So, artist channels, it's not our business, take them out, right? Lyric videos, song UGC, choreography, not our business, take it out, right? And then you've got the bottom end of the long tail that aren't monetizing. It's not supposed to be our target market, take it out. Right? What's left is our target market. Okay. Now, of all these 100 million rows of copyright claims, how many of them are on channels that meet this criteria of our target market? And the answer was 4%.
Aha.
That was a major breakthrough. When they were like, okay. So we're missing all of this? Yes, you're missing all of that. And they've got the means, the will, and the tenacity to want to go ahead and pay you some money, right? Let's make it available to them. And then they started to liberate assets a bit more. Every month we send them a check. That check keeps getting bigger.
And again, it's a revenue source they didn't have.
Correct. And it's ancillary. It's incremental to what they were earning. I'm saying to them, my software will determine what the legal ones are and what the illegal ones are. You will keep claiming the illegal ones. I'm not going to touch it. I'm just making it possible for you to earn from the other ones.
Well, they're also saving in billable hours for their legal, which is significant. Yeah. So they're also getting the savings as an ancillary benefit as well.
Yeah, agreed. And look, like I said, I think every creator in the world should want this to happen. Just from a principle standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Like, in 10 years, we'll look back and go, do you remember when we couldn't use music? And really, right?
Exactly. Right? Yeah, no.
But we have to get us there. I can't keep doing it on my own, right?
Well, I agree. That's why I wanted to have you on the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got the music industry now invested in the company, right? I've got Epic Games invested in the company because they use our vouch software.
Makes sense to me.
Very strange. But
no, it makes sense.
They don't license music from us. They license our software. That's how good it is, right? That the biggest gaming company or metaverse company is using it. What I don't have is anyone from the creator economy invested in the company. And I'm raising money right now, and I'm here at VidCon to meet with some people that might invest. I exclusively want this round to come from the creator economy because right now we're a two-legged tripod.
All right. So some final thoughts. Yeah. One of the last things I want to talk to you about, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, is AI music and the implications of that going forward for the industry, for the creator economy. There's this huge lawsuit right now around AI music. 2 prominent AI music startups being basically attacked by all the major labels right now.
Yeah.
Like, what's the inside baseball on this sort of thing? And what do you think is the future when it comes to AI and music right now?
I think that there's a major conflict coming. I'm not casting aspersions on any one company here. It's important to say that.
Sure.
Right? But when I hear how good some of the AI generative music platforms are, I can only presume they were trained unethically. Right? It's too good. And on what was it trained? And the music industry is on a warpath to find out. If I find out you scraped my catalog and fed it into your AI, and that's why it's so good, I'm going to sue the arse off you.
I'm okay with if you can put fingerprints. The argument I've always had to some degree with the AI art community's aspersion of that is I don't believe a lot of the independent visual artist
Yeah.
that their stuff was used. I believe that it's the major IP holders like Warner and Disney and Marvel and Star Wars and such, because the average person isn't sitting there trying to copy an indie artist off of Instagram as far as the visual stuff. They're trying to copy Marvel and Spider-Man and Hulk and all of that, because I mean, even when I was a kid, that's what you would draw in your notebooks. You draw the Tasmanian Devil. It's not about some original character that some obscure person with 2,000 followers is drawing. So for that one, I felt like maybe the stuff was trained enough on the old masters, because there's just so much stuff that would be the public domain on visual art would be so exhaustive that there's no, and also the major IP holders be so exhaustive that there wouldn't be any reason to steal from indie artists. It's just too much.
Current pop sounds are copyrighted, right?
Yes,
They're
but music that makes more sense, and there's less of that would be public domain that would make sense to train off of, especially to get to the relevant style of AI music that we see today. There's not enough stuff that would be in the public domain. You're right.
Absolutely.
That one is where I can give you all of it. Yes.
There are companies that are trying to teach AI meta composition theory. Right?
Would that one be ethical if they did that? Yes, because I think that makes sense.
Yes. And then what you can add to that is, here's public domain music, and teach it what that music is. And then you can teach the AI what journey musicians went on and see if it can get there quicker.
Because then it's just doing a simulation.
Yeah, that's just the evolution of sound over the last 100 years or so, right? The AI will get there in a much quicker time.
Because yes, it's going through the same process that a human would to accomplish the same thing.
Exactly right.
But it never has to sleep.
Exactly, right? But it's not being played Taylor Swift or fed Taylor Swift to sound like Taylor Swift, right?
Fair.
So the music industry is on a warpath at the moment, and it's doing its best to get behind companies that are trying to do it ethically. But those companies, again...
And it'll buy them.
I would hope so. Yeah, I mean, the problem is the ones that people suspect aren't ethically trained are already first to market and already generating revenue. It's a much longer road to teach meta composition.
And they're the household name.
Correct.
Oh, that makes sense. Because first mover advantage, early mover advantage.
Like better to ask for forgiveness than permission, like that sort of thing.
Sure.
I mean, if I had gone that route, I might have been at market 7 years ago. But so it'd be interesting to see how it goes. My position on it in context of our business.
Yes.
I think AI is really revolutionizing, or will revolutionize, how stock music companies grow.
Yes.
Right? The model in stock music is, I commission you to write some music. What I like from you, I will buy off you, and I own it forever.
In perpetuity, which means it's ethical to then train on that. So then...
Yes, yeah. But let's say it's $3,000. I think most stock music companies are paying about $3,000 a track for the lifetime ownership of the song they commissioned. So to get to 30,000 tracks is $90 million.
Yeah.
Right? So if I want to get to 60,000 tracks, I either pay another $90 million or I pay a small amount and get a young AI company and say, this is what's being used a lot. Create more of it. Right?
Yes.
And do that for me for way less. So it's going to have a big impact on scaling stock sounds.
I could see it.
And SFX. It will create more commercial sounds, right? We know the companies we're talking about that we've all tried out that make pop hits. Listen, if you sent me a song and I absolutely loved it, and then I found out you'd made it in 30 seconds, it'd lose all its value, because I'd be like, well, I can make it in 30 seconds, right?
Can you?
What was the prompt? Right? So, like...
Well, I think there's a sophistication in that, because everyone thought that about Photoshop. Everyone thought that about video editing tools. Even now with AI video editing tools, everyone thinks that they if I did that too. Even with the video being more affordable to make. Oh, if I just had this fancy camera gear, I could do the same thing. I don't know.
Well, look, for me, when I listen to a song and I fall in love with it, I play it 100 times. I play it until I know almost every word. Right. Because I love singing along with it. Right?
Yes.
When I learn every word, I understand the story. And then it makes me think about what the fuck was that person going through when they wrote this. And then I learn about the artist, right? You can't do that.
Fair.
Right. So I'm not saying
do you think
there's no
that's
value in it.
Right.
I just mean what it won't do for sync is provide nostalgia. It will create memories or emotions. But I think there's a place for it.
Do you think for the average consumer that they're sophisticated enough to sense that difference?
I think the average consumer use of full generative music creation will be novelty, right? And it will be fun.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
Like sharing stuff and creating. Write a song about my mate and how stupid he is.
Memes and such.
Exactly. What I think is going to really be impactful is there are lots of companies looking at building tools to make wannabe aspiring producers not have to learn the entire skill set.
Yes.
Right? Here's a mixing AI. Here's a keyboard AI. Here's everything you need to do it just at the click of a button to create a song, or to help you master, to help you do all the stuff that would have happened in the studio.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So like bedroom producers, they're going to have their workflow diminished greatly, and they'll be very grateful for that.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And so that even kind of parallels the journey that video has taken to some degree with the sophistication of editors and things. CapCut, for example, bringing down the learning curve of actually learning the mastery of video editing significantly.
Exactly. Right.
So basically, CapCut for music. When you get to CapCut for music, that's like game over time.
Exactly. Those companies, there are a few of them starting up. I'm quite excited about that.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, no, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think what you do for creators, I think you're brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
And I think what you do for creators is so important, and they're so lucky to have someone like you who's been there and done it guide them. And you know, I wanted to wait until we were in the right place to even contemplate this conversation, right? Because I think we had to mature as a company. You were very clear with me in 2019. You were like, "This is what you need to do with your business."
Yeah,
and you were right. We weren't there. We weren't ready. I had a great idea.
I'm very direct. I don't pull punches.
I know,
but I see potential, and that's why I'm glad that we've like continued the conversation, kept in touch. And I'm very happy to see where it is, and it's like it's in a place that I feel where it's not only great for creators. I think it's vital for the creator economy at this point.
I agree. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Take care.